Hello and welcome to my latest video. So this time we're going to be taking a second look at the very early number only Pan books, which I absolutely love. So this time it's going to be books 101 up to number 200 with a few interesting gems along the way. So that is going to be the subject of today's video. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Right then, so this is carrying on from Pan Books 100. This is Pan Books 101. It's a Man Trap, a novel of the Canadian wilds by Sinclair Lewis. Still got that sort of old style of the Pan numbered series here, and of course we are still at the tail end of the 1940s. This is 1949. Not a particularly great copy, that one. Quite a bit of a spine wear on that particular fella. Next one is 102, which is The Hour of the Angel, a novel of personal conflict, Joanna Cannon. Not sure about that one. Looks like they're mountaineers or something like that. 103 is a saint book, so The Avenging Saint, Knight Templar by Leslie Charteris. I absolutely love the saint books. I have to say I probably read as many saint books as I could get my hands on when I was a kid, but I've not read him much as an adult. But I was listening to the Paperback Warrior podcast just recently, a couple of weeks ago, and they actually had a whole episode dedicated to the original Saint novels, and I got to admit it whetted my appetite to read a few again, so I may well do that. Here we are. In fact, I think this was the very first Saint book, Holy Terror. It was later renamed The Saint versus Scotland Yard. A jacket by Stein, and you got the familiar Saint logo there. And what year was this one published? It was still 1949. But yeah, if you've never read the Saint books, they do stand up. They do stand up. This one's a really nice condition, isn't it? So 105, A Blunt Instrument by Georgette Heyer. I remember this one took a bit of tracking down in actual fact, and that's probably why I've ended up getting a really nice copy of it, because it was one that I bought off eBay or somewhere like that. Probably paid a few quid for this one, but it's a crime one. It's Georgette Heyer, and her crime books are sought after, and that's a particularly nice copy of that particular one. This is 106, an Arthur Conan Doyle, Adventures of Gerard, the famous brigadier. Now, I haven't got every single Pan book. Unfortunately, I am still tracking a few down. The chap who's got them all, bar one, my friend Tim, runs the Pan Collectors website. It's called ticket.net. You can go and have a look. And every single Pan is shown on his website, and it's well worth a look. He is just after one particular crossword book, so if you can find that one, I'm sure, to complete his set of every single Pan book published, I'm sure he'll be very, very happy. P.G. Wodehouse. I absolutely love P.G. Wodehouse. I got into him sort of in my late 20s, and every one I've read is just fantastic. The modern vintage editions are excellent. This one still dated from 1949. Not the best of copies of Summer Lightning, but I don't mind. Nice crime one here. Found Floating, Freeman Wills Croft, number 108. I've got some signed Freeman Wills Croft in my Penguin collection. They were signed in the 1950s, and I'm looking forward to digging those out, because I can't remember which ones exactly they were. That's quite a nice cover, that, isn't it? Looking through the porthole there. What a nice edition that is, by the artist Stein again. Yeah, I quite like that one. Not a bad condition copy as well. 109, The Doomsday Men by J.B. Priestley, a thriller of the atomic age. Don't know much about that. He wrote it shortly before the Second World War, and he could not have realised how topical his dramatic tale was later to become. Well, there you go. The Doomsday Men. I can't quite read the number on this one, but it's Tales of Mystery, selected by Edgar Allan Poe. So it's an Edgar Allan Poe anthology. I think that's number 110 because there's 110 written inside. 111, There's Trouble Brewing, Nicholas Blake. Another crime title. 112, another P.G. Wodehouse Jeeves. Thank you, Jeeves. These are just great. If you've never read P.G. Wodehouse, I mean, talk about time machine. They take you back to 1910s, 20s England, pre-Second World War. And it's just a world that is hard to even imagine existing. But it certainly did back then. That's number 112. And 113, The Director by L.A.G. Strong. The Jeeves and Wooster series by Fry and Laurie, they're worth tracking down if you can find those. 114, The Mask of Demetrios, the famous thriller by Eric Ambler. That's a nice jacket. I wish I had a better copy of that one. That looks great. That looks great, that one. But a lot of my Pam books are just ones that have ended up sort of in my collection. I've never really gone out my way to get them. A few of them I have. I was trying to upgrade some of my James Bond ones to get as best copies as I could afford. But most of these I found out in the wild over the years, and they've proved to be a really nice collection. I do love my Pam books. After Penguin, they're my next favourite publisher. But these early ones, they're a bit hit or miss, but I like a lot of them. 115 here is The Clue of the Silver Key by Edgar Wallace. Nice copy of that one. 116, Great Poems, From Shakespeare to Manly Hopkins. Okay. 117, Ballerina, the famous novel by Lady Eleanor Smith. Well, I've never heard of Lady Eleanor Smith, so it can't be that famous, can it? 118, Green Apple Harvest, Sheila K. Smith. No, don't know that one either. Obviously this one, quite famous, The Hollow, Hercule Poirot novel by Agatha Christie. Now, I seem to remember The Hollow was also released as a play at one point. But there we are, 1950. So we're into the 1950s, just. Number 120, Green Hell, a famous travel adventure book, Julian Duguid. I like travel books, I have to say. I don't read enough of them, considering how much I really like them when I get stuck into them. Men Never Know, by the author of Grand Hotel, Vicky Baum, number 121. It's a nice copy of that one. Vidala, the famous psychological thriller, Vera Kaspari. Another quite nice copy of that one as well, 122. 124, The Arches of the Years, a doctor's famous autobiography, Halliday Sutherland. Wow. Interesting cover in that, but I don't know. I don't think you're going to catch me reading that one. The Squeaker, the famous thriller by Edgar Wallace. I've read a few Edgar Wallace and I wasn't that impressed, to be honest. I found them a bit out of date, to be honest. When did this one first get published? 1927. That's probably why they just outdated, these Edgar Wallace books. 126, The Flying Carpet, the record of a great adventure, Richard Halliburton. Don't know much about that one. So anyway, that's the first 2 of 6 stacks. I'm just going to pause there, make a little bit more room, and we'll be straight back. So 127 is Going Up with Other Stories and Sketches by J.B. Priestley. That's quite a clever little jacket, that, isn't it? That's these guys obviously looking up into the elevator, open elevator. Yeah, quite clever, that one. Still 1950. 128. This is a great one, isn't it? The Poisoned Chocolates Case. Anthony Berkeley. This also came out as a Penguin. This one also took me a little bit of time to track down. I remember this was one that I was struggling to get, because out of all the pans, I'm trying to get a full run of all the numbered editions first of all, and that's these ones here. That's the very earliest ones. The Crew of the Anaconda, 129, a Secret Service thriller. I do like it when they add that onto it. They did it on the first edition of Casino Royale, a Secret Service thriller, so spies basically. And of course, these were all getting published just after the end of the Second World War. John Buckham, 130. Prester John, the famous tale of adventure. John Buckham, I actually have read some of these, and these aren't too bad. Yeah, he's all right, he is John Buckham. Massive in his day, of course, but not quite as widely read, perhaps, as he was. 131, Waterfront. John Brophy, scene from the British film based on this novel. Don't know that. Don't know what film they are referring to. That's 131. 132, The Corn is Green, with two other plays, The Druid's Rest and The Wind of Heaven, Emily Williams. A couple of plays, 132. 133, Come and Be Killed, a novel of a murderess, Shelley Smith. That's cool, isn't it? Nice little crime one. 135, Down the Garden Path, Beverly Nichols. And although I haven't got every single number, they didn't all actually get released. So some numbers which are missing may actually be because they weren't released. Others, who knows? I just haven't got them in my collection. Haven't got them all. Beau Brocade, Baroness Orski, author Beau. One of the Beau Brooks. Yeah, wrote The Scarlet Pimpernel. She wrote The Scarlet Pimpernel. Wrote 54 novels in English. I never knew there was that many. Died in 1947 at the age of 80. Yeah, there you go. But I guess The Scarlet Pimpernel was her most famous one. I remember being in a play of that many years ago. 137, The Song of Bernadette. Franz Werfel. Big thick one, that, actually. And a bit later on, these huge books would be published as Pan Giants. 1950. But we'll get on to those eventually. We've got 3 or 4 more videos of these, yeah? Number 140, which is The Joker. I'll do these videos like 100 at a time, even though I haven't quite got 100 books. I think that's enough for one video. Another Edgar Wallace here, 141, The Crimson Circle. But hopefully it's a little record of my collection. And if you are thinking of ever buying Pan books or starting to collect them, I hope it gives you a bit of inspiration to pull a collection together yourself, because on the whole these are not expensive to get. It just might take you some time. 142, The Four Just Men, a classic by Edgar Wallace. There's 3 Edgar Wallace on the trot, actually. 144, Sailing Alone Around the World, Joshua Slocum. Well, you wouldn't catch me doing that, with an introduction by Arthur Ransom. There you go. So this is like a travel. First published in 1900, but this edition published in 1950 again. That was 144. 146, The Winslow Boy. Oh, that rings a bell. Terence Rattigan. Plays, famous plays series. 146. 149, The Spotted Dog and Other Stories. Anthony Trollope. Bureau cover there. 150, Dr. Thorndyke's Casebook, R. Austin Freeman. Dr. Thorndyke is the ace of detectives. I've never read any of these, actually. It's not that I can remember. don't know. I went for a period of reading all the crime I could get my hands on. Now, this one's quite interesting. So, Told in the Dark, number 152. This is actually a precursor to the famous Pan Book of Horror Stories series. So, this is a book of uncanny stories told in the dark. And you may well want to get this one if you are thinking of putting together all the horror anthologies published by Pan. Told in the Dark. That was number 152. 153, Dunkerlees, Howard Spring, a dramatic novel by renowned author. Well, it's so renowned, I've never heard of it. There you go. Dunkerlees. Francis Parkinson Keys. Okay, The Safe Bridge, 154. Of course, one thing Pan did do, which a lot of publishers I collect don't do, is they did their fair share of romance. 156, The Bowstring Murders, Carter Dixon. Quite a nice cover, that one. Sort of airbrushed a bit. In fact, that reminds me of a sort of a Dell cover, that one, from the States. Dell map back. Lady Windermere's Fan and the Importance of Being Earnest, An Ideal Husband by Oscar Wilde. It's again part of the famous plays series. That was 158. 159, The Judge's Story, Charles Morgan. A tense novel about a battle of character. Okay, fair dues. And 159 again. Oh, this is just a later edition. It's still a numbered Pan, but it's just, this is the later one, I'm guessing. Yeah, because that's the first at 1 and 6. That one there. And then the later one is 2 shillings. So sometimes I keep, if they've come my way, I keep a later edition sometimes. Some of my favourites I've got multiple editions of. Escape to Quebec, Millward Kennedy. Highly original Secret Service story. Number 160. He looks a bit like David Niven, doesn't he? But Number 161 is another one I've got a couple of copies of. This is Murder is Easy by Agatha Christie. So we've got this one's in unpriced and priced state. That's not a sticker. That's like just a variant of it. And chances are one was for export and one wasn't. That's the only sort of difference on that one. And that's Murder is Easy, a classic Agatha Christie. So we're 2/3 of the way through. I'm just going to pause for the final time and then we'll have a look at the very last lot. Okay, so number 162 is Good English and How to Write It. Now you'll notice that the cover's been cut off. That was probably where the price was. But I've kept this because apart from that, it's a really nice sharp copy. It looked like it had a little insert. Can you write? Not again. 1951 now, so we've gone forward another year. That was number 162. 163, real classic, King Solomon's Mines, H. Rider Haggard. Brilliant, this book. If you've never read that one, I recommend that novel. 165, Moondrop to Gascony, Anne-Marie Walters. 20-year-old girl tells her adventures of a secret agent. Oh, there you go. 167 is Mr. Churchill, a portrait. Look at Winston Churchill. It's got a cartoon by Lowe on the front there. It's 167. 168, The Gilded Man, Carter Dixon. An H.M. detective novel. H.M., the amusingly colloquial amateur detective Sir Henry Merivale. I see. 169, Under the Red Robe. Stanley Weyman, looks like a historical adventure. 171, another Saint book here, The Saint on Guard. We'll see lots more Saint. I think Pan published just about all the Saint books that were in print. Peter Cheney, they also published a lot of Peter Cheney. You can't keep the change. Oh, you can't keep the change. You can't. That was a series. He did a few books. You can't do this. You can't do that. One later on, You Can't Hit a Woman, I remember. 176, Cards on the Table by Agatha Christie. Really nice jacket on that. I like the way the the cards, the playing cards, like putting the daggers there. 177, so Sherlock Holmes. Valley of Fear, absolute classic. Doesn't need any more introduction, but that's the first pan edition of that particular one. 178, Mistral Hotel, Stephen Lister. A sparkling comedy of the Riviera. Oh, wow, okay, wow. There you go. 179, Inspector McLean's Holiday, George Goodchild. Don't know much about this famous detective stirring adventure. So many to read, isn't there? I need to retire now to get started. 184, The Great Impersonation, E. Phillips Oppenheim. Another Secret Service novel, 184. And then 185, a real classic and a lovely edition of this one actually, The Maltese Falcon, Dashiell Hammett. Real beauty. Thankfully, you know, even if you look this one up today, you're not going to have to pay too much for it. Perhaps a £5, you know, I mean, they're really dirt cheap. 1951, this was first published as a pan. Lovely edition of that, isn't it? Now we're on to the very last stack. So number 186 is a romance, a White Oak heritage novel by Maisa de la Roche, Mary Wakefield. There's loads of those in pan. Once again, I think they published the whole lot. Magnificent Obsession, Lloyd Douglas, by the author of The Robe, etc. Okay, 188. 189 is The Provincial Lady, E.M. Delafield. 190, 7 short plays for reading or acting. There we are, anybody we know. Well, there's Still Life by Noel Coward, and I recognise him. He's actually the only name I do recognise on that particular list. 191. Serena Blandish, or The Difficulty of Getting Married. A gift edition, illustrated by Bureau. So this is one aimed at the ladies, looking for a husband by the look of it. I only saw 2 illustrations in there. It was hardly worth shouting about that on the cover, was it? I too have lived in Arcadia. Okay, well I haven't. The famous novelist's charming narrative of her early life in Paris. Okay, remind me never to read that one, okay? Here we are, 195, Peter Cheney, Don't Get Me Wrong. Okay, looks like that one's sort of set in Mexico or somewhere like that by the look of it. Don't Get Me Wrong. Another Maso de la Roche, and although, you know, these are just sort of romancy books, they are collected in their own right. It's number 196, a particularly nice copy of that one. When you find them, they generally are in nice nick, those, because they've only ever been read the once. And interesting, that didn't have a cover price, but you can vaguely see there the 2 and 6 that's been written on by a bookseller back in the day, back in 1951. Dirty Eddie, Ludwig Bellemans, a novel of Hollywood. Gloriously funny, The Daily Telegraph. 1952 now, as we come to near the end of the second 100. 198, 8 Tales of Hoffmann, newly translated with an introduction by J.M. Cohen, including the stories in the famous opera. Oh dear. 199, Bargain Basement, Cecil Roberts, popular author's romantic novel of a big department store. Blimey O'Reilly. Yes, it was all happening in the department store, I can tell you. 1952. And the last book, number 200, is a good one. It's Agatha Christie's Murder in Mesopotamia, which is absolutely fantastic. So this is one of those ones that was set in Egypt. And at the time of writing, Agatha Christie was, of course, married to Max Mallowan, who was an archaeologist. So she would sometimes accompany him out to Egypt, and a few of her novels, you know, like Death on the Nile, for example, this one, are set in Egypt. So she just called on those experiences. Anyway, that's number 200 in the series of these numbered pan books. We've got 2 more videos to cover these, because they go up to about number 430, something like that. So I'll cover 200 to 300 in the next video, then one for 300 up to the end. I think that'll be absolutely fine. So look out for those very soon. If you have enjoyed this video today, do please give it a thumbs up. Do please consider subscribing for some regular vintage paperback coverage. I've got loads on my channel and absolutely stacks more still to come. And I shall look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.